looks like we're going to be good to go. Because if you got your sugar with you, get your sugar. So I've got a little bit of a presentation. I'm going to go through that before we get to the actual tapping and the tapping on sugar, for example, in particular. So hopefully you can see this. And what we're going to do tonight is talk through tapping, what it is, some little bit of research behind it, because I think that does help kind of validate this technique. We'll talk through the tapping points. We will do some tapping on sugar cravings, and if we have time, we will then come back and I can talk you through what tapping can be used for, when to tap, some tapping tips, and then some more Q&A. But really do please pop your message in the chat box to me if you have a question as we go through. And I'll also be asking you for feedback at various stages, making sure that you understand things before I move on, and also feedback on the tapping as we go through. With the sugar addiction craving and any craving tapping, it's a bit of a different approach to the tapping that I'm going to teach you, and I'll show you the difference when we get there. If anybody joins during this, hopefully they can realize there's a Q&A box and they can talk to me from there. So tapping itself, I know one person has definitely done tapping before, but like, I don't know if you know my story, but I hit and found I found tapping by hitting rock bottom, and we had an awful tragedy and trauma in our lives where we lost our firstborn daughter. 6 months later, I found myself pregnant again, and suffering from severe PTSD. This is nearly 5 years ago now, or more. She would have been 5 last November, so it was nearly 6 years ago, or 5 years ago, sorry. And literally from that first session, one session was life-changing for me, and it was my pivotal moment. So I'm hoping that you don't have to hit rock bottom before you discover tapping and how to help yourself, and put yourself first and give yourself self-compassion and all that. And maybe today is your pivotal moment. It's you're learning something new, which is a tool that you can take away to empower yourself, to heal yourself, to ground yourself, to release trauma, to release pain, emotions, and it might be a life-changing moment for you. And the ripple effect that can have is outstanding. You can impact your family, your husband, your wife, your partners, your business partners, your colleagues, by just changing something internally. A little shift, a little let go can have a massive impact. So what is tapping? Tapping is often called acupuncture and psychology together, or acupuncture without the needles, or acupressure and psychology. So the acupressure part is using some like ancient, points in the body that literally been found 5,000 years ago. Been using them for 5,000 years in acupuncture and acupressure. But I think where it makes it really special is that we're also using psychology, talk therapy, the counseling side of things, and brings the two together. What happens when we have, so I'll go back a step. When we are in normal, happy, joyful, carefree, stress-free mode, the cells in our body are working really optimally. They're in rest, regeneration, and recovery, and they are releasing toxins normally, they're renewing normally, they're growing normally. Like every 7 years, we actually have a whole new body. We just don't realize. So this is how our body operates. The immune system is healthy. We are able to attack and kill cancer cells normally, because we all get them. We all have cancer cells in our body, but our body's able to cope with them on a normal level when everything's working properly. When we have a physical threat to our body, or we have a psychological threat, or like where somebody is kind of threatening our sense of self. So a boss sending a very threatening email, or someone at your front door being extremely threatening to you verbally. So not only do you feel physically threatened, but you might also feel kind of morally and personally threatened as well. When that happens, our body goes straight into the parasympathetic nervous system. So the parasympathetic nervous system kicks in and it sends signals to the amygdala in the brain, which then sends signals to the kidneys, which start producing the adrenaline and the cortisol. That starts to flood your system. Now, unfortunately, our cells can only do one thing at a time. They can either be in flight, fright, freeze mode or rest, regeneration, recovery. When we get into stress mode and our stress response is triggered, the amygdala sends the cortisol and the adrenaline, and all of a sudden our blood is pumping faster. We literally are ready to fight, or we are poised to run to get ourselves away from danger, or we go into freeze mode, which is, taking to the bed, or, I've been in a car crash before, a minor car crash, and I saw it coming but froze, couldn't even say to my aunt sitting beside me, there's a car coming and you need to stop. I could see it all happening, but I just completely froze and I couldn't speak. There's another theory too, I don't know if you've heard of it, called fawning. And this is where you would people please. So it's a safety strategy for you to please other people so that you don't get endangered, basically. So that's another kind of flight, fight, freeze, fawn. It's another response. When we are in flight, fight, freeze, obviously we're not doing the good stuff. Our bodies aren't, processing normally, and our bodies are designed to move from the stress mode back into the relax mode. Okay, so we are supposed to have our stress mode, get ourselves out of the situation, make ourselves safe, and then relax. However, with our modern day culture and our conditioning of having to be superwoman, super mom, super dad, superhuman, striving to achieve, pushing the patriarchal conditioning and everything that we're supposed to do from the patriarchal side of things, not moving from the masculine and the feminine and the intuition, we are now in a state of chronic stress. Being in a state of chronic stress means we have cortisol and adrenaline pumping through our body all the time. So we're not getting back to relaxation mode, to allow ourselves to recover. We're not getting back to the place where our body and cells can now let go of toxins. They can start processing stuff again. So we really do need to operate in predominantly relaxed mode with the odd kick of stress mode rather than the other way around. I hope that makes sense. Now, what tapping does is it sends a signal. So the points, it's literally, I feel it's like pushing a button. There's points in our body that we pressing the button, that sends a signal right into the center of our brain. It's the amygdala, it's the almond shape right in the middle of the brain. And it tells it that you're safe, tells the body it's safe. Okay, now obviously you would only do tapping when you're out of the danger zone. So if you're in the middle of a car crash and the car is moving, you're still moving, you're not going to be tapping. But half an hour later or 10 minutes later, whenever you know everyone's safe, that is the time to start tapping. It was developed by a guy called Gary Craig in America in the early 90s. And it's come from what, I don't know if anyone knows it, called thought field therapy. So that was the precursor to EFT, and it was much more complex. There was different protocols or different kind of sequences of tapping for different things. But Gary Craig realized that the same points work for all eventualities. And he also brought in some NLP practices into it too. So he kind of created EFT as we know it. And I call it tapping because I think it's just much easier to talk about. Has anybody got any questions before I move on that one? Let me see if I can see if anybody's joined the, brilliant. 1 second, I'm just going to go back to, okay, I've got a few more people. Hello, I have someone from Seattle on the line. How exciting. A family member too. Hello. For anybody that is new, there is a chat box that you can add Yeah, hello. You can talk to me through chat box, and you can also make other people aware of what you're saying by changing it to all panelists and attendees. So I'm fine with either. Okay, awesome. Any questions on the tapping before we move on? Okay, cool. So just looking at some research to kind of back up how amazing this is. In 2012, they did a test where they actually took blood from the test groups, and they tested the cortisol in the blood before and after talk therapy or resting alongside EFT. And the talk therapy and rest reduced cortisol by 14%, and the EFT reduced it by 10% more, so 24%. So it has a very, and this was 15 minutes of tapping, right? So that's a big drop in just 15 minutes. The most impressive one is that the 5,000 patients over 5 years, patients either received talk therapy, CBT plus medication, or EFT without medication. The EFT group had complete remission, 76%, compared to the CBT of 51%. And what was most important, that a year later, 78% of that complete remission group still were in remission. And this is all around anxiety. So they did a pre and post anxiety test. Another one that I found out recently is that tapping is said to improve your emotional resilience. Now, I can understand that because it actually gives you a tool to deal with negative emotions yourself, but also it's been proven to increase the area of the brain. So the brain cells that manage your emotional resilience are bigger after tapping. So the more you tap, the more you're building your actual emotional resilience, as well as also having the tool to deal with negative emotion situations. So I think that's pretty amazing. So the tapping points, I'm going to demonstrate them now, but they're on the screen. Hopefully you can see me. So we start with the top of the head. Oh no, actually, can everyone copy me? I can't see anyone, so I'm gonna imagine you tapping away. This is the karate chop point. We use it only when we do our setup statement. Karate chop point. I'll come back to that in a few minutes. Then we start the tapping rounds, and they start at the top of the head. Now you're tapping about 5 to 7 points per location, okay? The next one is the eyebrows. So I'm in the start of the eyebrow. Side of the eye is the side of the eyebrow here, but almost towards the temple. Under the eye, under the nose, on the chin, the collarbone. So this is not the actual hard collarbone, it is the fleshy part underneath the collarbone. Under the arm where your bra strap is for the ladies. And then back to the hand. And this is where we have the wrist point. And then either side of the fingernail bed, we tap on either side for each finger. You can see that properly. Just squeezing either side of the fingernail bed. Okay, and that is considered a round of tapping. You can use any hand, 2 hands. You can skip a point and it will still work because you're coming back to the points on the next round. You cannot really get this wrong, so please don't think like you're going to mess it up, because you can't really. I just want you to really, really firmly tap on your head now. Really, really firmly tap. And then I want you to really, really gently tap. What feels better to you? What feels better? You tap at the pace and the pressure that works for you. Sometimes when I'm really mad, like really angry, I'll tap quite heavily. And other times when I'm calmer and stuff, I'll just tap much more gently. If I'm tapping on someone else, I'll be really gentle. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, there is 4 steps to tapping, and actually, to be honest, it can be less than this. If you have just suffered something really traumatic and upsetting, and your emotions are flooding in, and you're maybe feeling the panic rising, just start tapping top of the head. Okay, so just start tapping. Even if you're so upset you can't remember words, or you can't put you can't name the emotion, then just start tapping. So I'll give you an example. I had some very bad news. When did I have that bad news? September time, August. Really bad news. And I was told this bad news by my boss from my day job 5 minutes before we were going into an all-day meeting where I couldn't talk about what had gone on. So I had to suppress my pain around this piece of news for about 8 hours, 7, 8 hours. And then I was lucky enough to travel on my own back to my house. So I was on the tube, got on the tube in London, started to cry. I started to feel panic rising, and I just put my head in my hands and started to deep breathe. I just kind of was trying to suppress it. Then I got off the train, got off the tube and went to the toilets at the train station. And I went in and I just sobbed my heart out. And all I did when I was sobbing was just to tap the points. I just sobbed and sobbed. I felt the emotion. I felt the anger about what had happened. I felt the sadness, and I just tapped. 5 to 10 minutes later, I'm not kidding, I was back on the train to my house with like Mindhunter on my phone to kind of take my mind off it. And I was absolutely fine. I had really stopped a panic attack in its tracks. So I hope you can see there how, if in the heat of the moment, just start tapping. But if you're like this, doing something specific, or saying, right, tonight I'm going to tap on my sugar craving, or tonight I really want to tap on letting go of something that's been bothering you, then really follow this process. You kind of assess how you're feeling before you start. So in order to, at the beginning of tapping, I found this guide useful because it gives you a kind of a before and after picture, which helps you understand your shifts. It helps you understand, oh yeah, I do feel better. Great. Over time, I quickly realized that I also belch a lot and yawn a lot when I release from tapping, which can be tricky when I'm tapping in groups. But yawning for me is a signal that I have released, I have shifted, I have let go. So I don't need to do the pre and post numbers anymore. I just know when I feel like I've let go. So that could be the same for you instantly, or you might feel like you want to use the numbers as a guide. So usually you start thinking, right, how bad am I feeling on a scale of -10 to +10? +10 being like super amazing, which obviously you're probably not going to do some tapping if you're feeling like that. And -10 is like absolutely horrific, panic attack, awful emotion coming, not able to breathe kind of situation. So you pick a number. You just literally the first number that comes to your head. You don't overthink it, okay? As you do the tapping, we check in on the number, and you can decide, well, I'm going to get myself to 0. And if I got myself to 0 right now, that would be amazing, and I'd feel heaps better, and that means I could carry on with my day. If I got myself to +5, then that would be absolutely incredible. Or if I just got myself to like a -5, that might be enough for me today. So you'll figure out yourself over time, the more you do it, where you need to be. With me, it's just like I feel good or I don't feel good. So kind of like I've yawned or I've not yawned, and I kind of keep going till I finish yawning, so to speak. But you'll figure it out as you go. So I often would just start with 3 deep breaths before I start. So I pick my number and tune in, and I want you to really feel the feelings. When I first started with tapping, I was like, oh, it's great. I can just kind of use tapping to ignore the feelings or kind of bypass them really quickly. Now, yes, you do get past them quickly, but It's about acknowledging the feeling, naming the feeling, finding out where in the body it is, giving it a color or a texture, and that will really help you. It's basically like you're bringing your feeling up. You're saying, yes, I am sad. I see you. I feel you. But now I'm going to let you go. Okay, and the tapping is the let you go part. So you're kind of acknowledging. That's what the setup statement is. You're acknowledging where you are at the minute. So you construct it by naming the emotion, naming the location in the body, and maybe a color or a texture. So you start off by saying, so this is a setup statement. This is where you use your karate chop point only. Even though I've got all this sadness in my heart, even though I've got all this blue sadness in my heart, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. So you top and tail this with, even though I'm feeling all this stuff because of X, Y, Z, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. This is like giving yourself permission to feel the emotions and giving yourself self-compassion at the same time. I'm like, it's okay. So even though I'm feeling all these emotions, it's okay. It's okay to feel them. We're human. We're supposed to feel our emotions, but we're supposed to also let them go. And that's what society has failed to teach us. Does that make sense? So you do that 3 times. You can say the same thing 3 times, or you can change it up. You can do 3 different setup statements, which elaborate on the situation, but it always has the same construct around the color, the location, and the emotion. Okay, any questions on that before we go on? Remember to be drinking your water as well. Okay, no questions. Right, then you start tapping on the points. So you've done your setup statement, then you start the top of the head, and you use what we call as a reminder statement. So the key emotion, location, and color. This red anger in my throat is my example here, or this deep blue sadness in my heart. This red anger in my throat. So much red anger. So much red anger. So you're saying 1 sentence per point. You're tapping 5 to 7 times, and you're focusing on the negative feeling that you're feeling. Can I do a full screenshot of the karate chop point? Oh God, sorry, can you not see? Does that help? That is the karate chop point there. I think I had my hand down too low. Okay, perfect. So where was I? You're doing a reminder statement on each point. You focus on the negative. You focus on, firstly, you focus on how negative you're feeling, and you can elaborate. You can say, I'm negative because of this situation, and you know, it's really shit, and this made me feel so sad, or I'm fucking pissed off right now. To be honest, the more specific you make your tapping to basically how you're feeling, the more like personal you make the tapping, the bigger effect that you're going to have. And if you're really, really pissed off and you use that language in the everyday life, then use that language when you're doing your tapping, because you're being totally true to yourself, you're being authentic, and you're feeling the feeling that you're feeling. Does that make sense? So you start tapping on the negative stuff. And then you move through more neutral rounds of tapping. So you do the negative, and sometimes the negative, you'll feel a shift quickly, or sometimes you need to go through the negative quite a few times. Then you might get to a neutral status, where you might say, maybe the situation isn't as bad as I thought. Maybe everything will be okay. Maybe it's possible for me to look at this now. Maybe it's safe for me to look at this now. Maybe it's safe for me to let this go. And then you get to, I choose now to let this go. I choose now to release all this blue sadness in my heart. I choose now to release all this sadness in my heart. I choose now to invite peace into my life instead. So you kind of, you're spending some time on the negative and you're moving it into kind of more neutral status with potentially some questioning. Maybe I could conceive of forgiving certain person. Maybe I could let things go. And then it's a more active, I choose now to let this go. I choose to release this from my body now. I am safe. I am carefree. I am relaxed. That kind of thing. So you go from negative to much more positive statements. Check in with yourself again on the scoring. As you go through, you might be yawning, you might be doing something else. Some people feel energy shift. They might feel heat in their chest as they release. So just literally go with the flow. And what you're trying to do is make yourself feel better. So as long as you start feeling better, you can stop. If you run out of time, you can stop. You can always come back to it. You know, tuning into your body is the key here. If you, so I don't know if anyone knows the onion analogy. So as an onion, you've got layers and layers and layers and layers. And I fully accepted that I will be tapping until the day I die, if I can reach my hands up. And so there's always going to be stuff to let go of. You know, every day stuff happens, we kind of need to let go. When we start tapping, our body is like, oh God, yes, she's doing this thing that's actually releasing and working. Layer comes off. Oh, great, but here's another one. Work on that, layer comes off. So as you do something like blue sadness in your chest, when you tune back in, sometimes people feel, I don't feel sad anymore, I feel bloody angry. And it's like really red. So, you know, if you think about the stages of grief, you go through kind of shock. I don't even know them, and I've been through them. Shock, sadness, bitterness, resentment, anger, you know, all this kind of stuff. You might notice that the location of your emotion changes, or the pain changes, or the color changes. And that's why we use color, because it's a really good indicator if something has changed. And that means you've shifted. You've let go of the blue sadness, but right now your body wants to let go of the red anger. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Is there any questions before we move on? Just going to check the group. Okay. So we're going to do some tapping. Right. Can everyone get your piece of chocolate, please? I had great fun trying to find these images. Fun and not fun at the same time. This is the last remaining piece of the chocolate cake that is in my house from my son's birthday. Can you tell me what you have brought with you, please? This is when I need some interaction. And you can tell me, or you can tell all panelists and attendees so everyone can see. There's not many on the line, so you shouldn't feel too uncomfortable about changing. Okay, we've got a chocolate bar. Anyone else? Chocolate. What else have we got? Dark chocolate, homemade brownie. Oh my goodness. That sounds good. Amazing. Okay, so I want you another chocolate bar. Chocolate seems to be the key, isn't it? Cravings, I don't know if you know this, are linked. Oh, wine. We did the alcohol the other day, but you could actually just swap out the wording for wine when we do this process. Okay, so it's really similar. Mini chocolate bars from Christmas. Oh wow, you've kept them a long time. Well done. Cravings are linked to memory, pleasure. What else? Reward. If you're a good girl, you'll get a piece of cake. I find myself doing that a lot with my boys, and it's very upsetting, but I do it anyway. Emotions. It's linked to the emotions, stress, and past trauma. So literally, the pleasure we get from chocolate and wine and other things, addictions, is in the same place in the brain that monitors memory, pleasure, reward, emotions, stress, trauma, etc. And if we have been using our chocolate craving to soothe and comfort ourselves, then we have conditioned ourselves to feel positive reinforcement or positive or stress release or some form of happiness and joy from the chocolate to counteract the stress of the problem. So I want you to now just tune in to that treat. Don't eat it, right? I want you to smell it and look at it and tell me how much you want it. And I want you to, this is a different scale, 0 to 10, 10 being I really, really want this piece of cake. And I want you to let me know in the box, please. Anybody doing this at home, make sure you have your treat. And I want you to really tune in to wanting this piece of chocolate cake. Yeah, I mean, I really want that. Okay. We've got a 7, 8. I think I'm an 8. A 9. An 8, 8. Okay. All kind of around the 7+ mark. Okay. Now, when do you crave this treat the most? Have you got a pen and paper? Write down what your number is now to start with. And write down when you crave this treat the most. For me, I really crave something sweet after I've had lunch and after I've had dinner, or around the 3 o'clock mark. Because I often make a cup of coffee around the 3 o'clock mark. And when I was having very stressful bedtimes with my sons, I would get them to sleep and I'd come downstairs and be in the fridge grabbing the dark chocolate before I could even consciously stop myself. It was like natural instinctive impulse. So tell me, when do you crave it most? I want to know if you can tell me. 3 p.m. Same as me. Evenings. Evenings, lunch and dinner. Evenings after kids in bed. Can I ask, do people find that it's give it to themselves as a reward? A reward. Interesting. Reward for a hard day, a stressful day, making it through the day. Pick me up. Yes, I'm with you on that. It's about energy. Yeah. Okay. Comfort. These are all words that I've included in this tapping script, so that's awesome. My husband wanted me to tell you this, that he actually hears chocolate. It calls to him. So if there's something in the house open, his mind will be totally preoccupied until he eats it. And it's basically like, I'm still here, come get me. And until it's gone, he can't resist it. And he literally can't resist. He is really strong-willed guy. He can't resist it. But he will eat an acceptable quota for the day. So he might eat 2 squares and be really good with that, but he can't not eat it. So I thought that was quite funny. Okay, so before we start, think about, again, how it makes you feel. So how does the chocolate make you feel when you've had it? Let me know. Yeah. Wanting more. Comfort. Yeah. Relieved. Yes, I feel that too. It's like this nagging thing until you get it, and then you're like, oh, I've had it now. Relieved. Comfort, then guilt. Yep. And can you only have a little bit, or does it have to be a lot? Like, with a little bit, will one piece of that chocolate bar be enough? Or do you need the whole lot? Needing the whole lot. Need to finish a bar always. Okay. So restraint kind of has gone out the window once you start, right? Okay. So what we're going to do now is a script that I've written, but it covers lots and some of the reasons why we might have this desire to eat sugar. It is not personal to anyone in particular, and therefore some of this will resonate with you and some of it won't, but that's okay. Maybe one thing will stand out really clearly to you as maybe a reason for your link to seeking chocolate to soothe yourself after a stressful time. If something jumps out, please write it down. Just stop the tapping and write it down, because it's something you can come back to later. What I'll do is afterwards, I'll send you the script in a Word format. You can then go in and rewrite and adapt it to maybe something that's more specific to you. Because the more specific you are, the better the outcome is going to be. Okay. So just a little note, be kind to yourself. Your story and your past are the reason you're here today. So we're acknowledging and feeling gratitude to ourselves to be here without judgment, okay? So we're going to park judgment at the door. We are here to potentially, hopefully, help ourselves and have learned this new skill that we can take into other areas. What matters is that you're here, you've shown up, you are present, and we're about to do this together. Okay. So as we do this tapping, I want you to really focus on the desire that you have right now to have this sugar and to have this chocolate. Focus on how badly you want it. We're trying to basically trigger yourself into wanting this. So if that means you need to sniff it again, then please do. And we'll start tapping on the karate chop point, and we'll just say, even though I have this strong craving for this chocolate, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Even though I have such a strong craving for this chocolate, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. And even though I have such a strong craving to eat all of this amazing chocolate, I choose to love and accept myself anyway. Okay, we're going to do the tapping on the top of the head. This craving. Now really, really feel how much you want this right now. This craving. This deep craving. So much craving for this chocolate. I'm craving this chocolate so much. This really strong craving. This craving has a hold on me. This strong craving. This chocolate sweetness. It just tastes so good. And this chocolate makes me feel good. This chocolate craving. It's so sweet and delicious. This craving for my favorite chocolate. Such a strong craving. Okay, we're going to pause for a minute, take a deep breath in. I'm yawning already. That's a good sign. Okay, take a sniff of your piece of chocolate. I want you to rate yourself on how much you want it now. Maybe take a tiny bite. How much do you want it now? We're going to keep going, so don't think this is the end. How much do you want it now? Give me a rating. Can you be big on the screen? Oh yes, sorry. Sorry, I meant to do that. Thank you. All right, we've got 6, 4, 7. Well done. Okay, back into this top of the head. I still have this craving. I love this chocolate so much. It makes me feel so good. Maybe it reduces my stress because I often reach for it when I'm stressed. Maybe this sweetness is a treat. A reward for hard work. A reward for doing something stressful or having a stressful day. A reward for just getting through the day. It's something I've looked forward to. Such a strong craving for this chocolate. I crave it nearly every day. Every day. This craving doesn't make me feel strong. This craving makes me feel weak. Okay, we'll keep going. Top of the head. I hate feeling weak. I feel so guilty after eating this chocolate. Sometimes I can't stop myself. And sometimes I eat way too much. And it doesn't make me feel good. I'm filled with guilt and shame. Because I know it's not good for me. I know it's got a hold over me. I hate all this lack of control. I carry this disappointment when I give in. And I give in all the time. And it makes me feel so weak. It's just so frustrating. And it's such a false high. Okay, close your eyes, deep breath in. Releasing out. Get that piece of chocolate. How much do you want it now? It actually doesn't smell as good. Any thoughts coming to you with yours? What number would it be? Down to 5. Well done. Any other numbers? 4, 5. Great stuff. Well done. Not so appealing. Yeah. Really didn't smell as good. Now, can everyone taste it? Does it taste as good? as you were expecting or remembering? That just tasted like sugar, but with no flavor, like no chocolate flavor. Anyone else feeling anything? No, so it's not weird that it tasted way sweeter than you remember. Good question. Do you like that sweetness, or is it too sweet? Too sweet. Brilliant. Bingo. Bingo, bingo, bingo. Too sweet, not necessary. Another person. That's exactly it. This is amazing progress. Well done. This is reprogramming the brain. It's too sweet. It's not as attractive as it was. Is everyone with me? Okay, let's keep going. Nikki, you still there? Okay. Let's keep going. We're not there yet. Maybe I can look at this now. Maybe this is something I can reprogram. My Seattle friend just said it's too early for chocolate because she's in Seattle. Maybe I reach for the sugar and chocolate when things haven't gone my way. Maybe I rely on sugar as a reward. Maybe the time of day is a trigger for me too. Maybe when I'm tired and need that little push to get through the day, I rely on sugar to give me energy. But maybe there are other healthier ways to get that energy, to get me through the day. Maybe I rely on sugar to make me happy. Maybe I rely on sugar to make me feel safe. Maybe there are other ways for me to feel happy and safe. Tapping can help me feel safe. Maybe these sugar cravings take me to a happy connection with my parents in the past. Maybe it reminds me of better and happy times. It just makes me feel so good and instantly calmer. And who would I be if I didn't have this sweetness and chocolate? It's something for me. How will I relax if I don't have this chocolate? Who am I without this chocolate? How will I relax? What will make me feel happy instead? Maybe I can let this connection go. I choose now to release and let it go. I release the connection between chocolate and feeling relaxed and happy. It is safe to let this go. Oh, sorry. Letting go. I am safe. I can find other forms of sweetness in my life. I have all the sweetness I need. I have all the happiness I need inside me. I choose now to reconnect to my joy. I choose now to reconnect to my own happiness. Okay, we have got a couple more rounds. So let's stop there and take a deep breath. How much do you want this piece of chocolate? Bring it up to your nose. Oh. That really isn't doing it for me. How are people feeling about their chocolate now? What's your number now? Write it down as well. 2, I don't want it. It feels bad. Now, when you say it feels bad, it means that it doesn't feel good, doesn't give you good feelings. I don't need it now. Well done. Just feels unnecessary, like you don't need it. Another 2. Yeah, I totally feel that about the cake. Like it's a waste of calories. Like that's not that nice. Not bothered. And a 1. Well done. I know I'll feel better without it. Amazing. Great. Got a couple more. So let's keep going. Let's see how low we can go, right? Okay. I actively choose to change my feelings and my behavior. I choose to let these beliefs and stories go. I let go of the beliefs and stories holding me back. I choose to let these behaviors go, as I know they are no longer serving me. I release now my behaviors relating to sugar that no longer serve me. Oh, anyone else yawning? My cravings for sugar are maybe just a signal that I need to relax or connect to my inner happiness. Maybe there are other ways to feel happy, relaxed, and carefree, like having a bath. Maybe it's my body craving some self-care. I choose now to find other ways to relax. I decide now that every time I have this craving, I choose to focus on other things that make me feel good instead. Every time I have a craving for this chocolate or sugar, I choose another relaxing activity instead. I choose to take a deep breath in. I choose to relax and let go. I choose to release the stress in my body. Top of the head. I choose to fully and completely love and accept myself as I am now. I choose to fully and completely love and accept myself as I am now. I choose to release myself of all of these beliefs. I release the beliefs that govern my relationship with sugar. I am strong enough to find a new way. I am so strong. I'm confident. I find happiness in many places. I focus on the gratitude in my life instead. And even when I feel sad or down sometimes, I feel the strength to have control over my choices. I have complete control over my choices. I'm worthy of having a healthy body. I'm worthy of having joy and happiness in my life. I'm worthy of connecting to the energy of love. Last round. I completely love and accept myself exactly as I am. I've been doing the best that I can with the knowledge and experience that I have had to date. I continue to do the best I can with the knowledge and experience I have at any moment. I'm open to learning a new way and to trusting myself. I choose to do what is right for me and my body. I am powerful in my choices. I am worthy of making healthy choices. I am pure and my heart is good. I've completely let go of these ties to sugar and chocolate. I have a strong will and make powerful decisions. I trust myself at all times. And for the last three, we're going to do a Hawaiian healing mantra. So just follow me. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. And I'm sorry, please forgive me. I thank you, I love you. Okay, take a deep breath in. We're finished. Release out. Tune in to that piece of chocolate now. Do you want it? It's actually smelling worse for me. How are you feeling? Did anything come up for you? It'd be great if you could share your number now. Where are you at with that? Zero. Absolutely lovely. Thank you. Awesome. Don't want it at all now. Well done. That's great. Anybody struggling with getting Helen, so feeling empowered and in control at a zero? Amazing. No interest in it now. That zero then, lovely. You feel lighter. That's great. Shireen, that's lovely. That's no interest in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6 out of 6 saying that they have no interest in it. Can I do a virtual high five to everybody That is amazing. Well done. Now you can use this technique on anything. So try it on other things. If anyone has particular issue with emotional eating, as in like binge eating, then there's a different approach for that. And it's probably done more one-to-one because it's more linked to a reason why you're filling the hole, basically, with food. Quite different to the craving thing. So you deal with it differently. We've just had a high five. Thank you. Anyone got any questions? I know it's quite late, so people might want to nip off. Or if wanted to stay, I could finish the final slides on what things that you can tap on and tapping tips. So let me know what you think. I'm happy to continue if people want to stay. Some people might feel tired. Oh, good. We've got someone happy to stay. Okay, brilliant. Should we practice this every time we get a craving? I'm hoping we won't get cravings after the back of this. So this is the first time I've done it too. So, you know, we're all in this together. And the reason why I'm doing this free webinar is to make myself do this because I wanted to do it. So if we did have a craving, I would suggest that we start just even deep breaths and tapping on the body. Just a deep breath saying, oh, really, this craving, this craving, this craving, this craving. And maybe starting on the head, this craving. I want to let it go now, this craving. You could do that. So you don't have to do the full thing. So I would just do kind of a mini version in the heat of the moment. Does that make sense? I can take questions in a few minutes then if we keep going. So what can tapping be used for? What I've taught you today is extremely effective in the heat of the moment. So apart from the sugar cravings thing, because that's quite specific, but the earlier part where I taught you about tapping, you can use in the heat of the moment to manage things like fear of flying, any grief or loss that you might feel on either an ad hoc basis or a daily basis, insomnia, anger, panic attacks. What else have we got here? Breastfeeding issues, fears and phobias. However, there are some topics here that I would definitely recommend going deeper with a practitioner on. So any particular trauma, big traumas, birth trauma, abuse, abandonment, what else have we got here? Postnatal depression, post-traumatic stress syndrome, those kind of things, I wouldn't do tapping on your own. It's much better to be held and to be guided through the tapping. But it's the same process, and I do use different techniques to go with the deeper work than just the tapping. But it works the same way in the brain. So it basically rewrites the trauma and reprograms the brain. So it lets go of all the raw emotion associated with it. So you can have a read there. There's absolutely a bunch of things that you can do this on. Pain, physical pain. So period pain, I have a YouTube video for period pain, and I did that 7 or 8 months ago, and I tapped for 2 months consecutively when I had my period and when the pain came, and I have not had to tap on period pain ever since. Okay, I had endometriosis before. I've had like serious pain, period pain in my life, and I have not had pain since. It's a very good one to use on physical pain, even if it's this pain in my lower back. And maybe you don't know why you've got the pain in the lower back. You will have the pain in the lower back because of something going on. So either stress, that's where you carry your stress, or something physically happened to you. But you don't even have to know that. You could say, there's this dark pain in my lower back, this dark pain in my lower back, this dark pain in my lower back. I choose to release and let go of this dark pain in my lower back. So you can use it on pain. Sometimes the pain will move in your body. There's a technique called chasing the pain. So like trying to chase the pain. have a lot more techniques that I use with clients to work on deeper stuff. And say, for example, you don't know exactly, you don't consciously have a memory of something relating to a trauma or an abuse or abandonment or whatever. I've never worked with someone who we've not got to that memory. So basically, when we start working and start tapping, your mind unlocks and provides the memories to work on. But I think you need to be guided through that. Okay, so if you've not got a lot of memories from your childhood, don't worry, they will resurface when it's time to heal them. So, any questions on that before I go on to when you might want to do tapping? Has anyone got any specific ailment questions that they would like to ask? FYI, you need to drink the water to flush out the toxins from being in stress mode. So being in stress mode, back to relax mode, we're able to operate properly every cell, and the water flushes the toxins out of the cells that have been held there for a while. So water is key after doing this kind of work to flush it all out. Okay, so when to tap? So in the heat of the moment, provided you are in a safe place, you can start tapping. Tapping driving in the car, in the shower, on the toilet, in bed at night. Sometimes you might be too tired, you can visualize tapping. Recently, I've been asking my angel guides to come in and tap for me. That's a good one. You don't have to do anything. If you're watching a sad movie or an advert, or you're triggered by some like commercial on the TV or something, start tapping, because there's a reason why you're feeling that emotion, and you've just been triggered into it. Watching the news, if you're at a funeral, you can, like, sometimes you don't need to do every tapping point, right? So on the train to London, sometimes I've just sat there like this because I'm feeling nauseous, and it just helped calm me down and get me to a safe place where I haven't had to get sick. Or you could just do the wrist point, or you could just squeeze the wrist, or you could just do the finger points. So sometimes you just need to do something, just reach for what you can reach. If somebody offloads all their stuff on you, you're not going to feel great, are you? So you can do some tapping on that. I also have a tapping video on YouTube for empaths, because most of us feel the emotion and trauma of other people as if it's our own. So the tapping script is about actually letting go of the energy that is not our own. It's very powerful, and it's one of my most viewed videos on YouTube at the moment. If you are really happy, you can also do happy tapping. So positive emotion tapping, gratitude tapping, thank you for, sometimes I do this in the shower, thank you for this day, thank you for my boys, thank you for where we live, thank you for the sea, thank you for this water that cleanses me, that kind of thing. You can also tap on kids and on babies. What I might do when I send this out is also, I've written a blog on how to tap with kids, so like toddlers age 3 upwards, and I need to write one on babies. That's been on my to-do list for about 6 months. So yeah, you can do tapping with kids, basically use their language and use the same points, but I only do the kind of head points with them, maybe under their arm, but mainly the head points, because they're not going to let you like get to the wrist and stuff. Or you model and they copy you. That's another really good thing to do. So you could say, oh, this yucky feeling on my tummy, and get them to copy them on themselves. This yucky brown feeling in my tummy. This yucky feeling from going to school today. And then you could say, what happened at school today? And then they might say, oh, my friend hit me when we were in the garden. Okay, so this yucky feeling because your friend hit you in the garden. Yeah, my friend hit me in the garden. Can you see how you might do that together? Any questions on this? What I think is the best thing to do is, don't think you have to set aside time to sit down and do some tapping. Just start tapping. Work it into your day. So you're not, maybe it's when you're boiling the kettle. Just say, I release all the stress in my body now. I choose to release all the stress in my body. Just while the kettle boils. Even if you're not saying anything, You're telling the brain it's safe. The signal itself, the tapping act itself is great because it will tell the brain it's safe. Nearly there, some tapping tips. How do you think of the wording of what to say? So I suppose I'm in practice now. However, use your own words is my own advice. So use what you feel. Just start with what you feel. Don't make it complicated. I have been tapping for like 3 years now, so I suppose it might come easier to me now. But when I first started, I actually went onto YouTube and wanted to follow tapping scripts because I wasn't confident in starting. And so I did, and that's how I ended up starting this business, because I went onto YouTube and thought there was nobody doing tapping for mums, mum-related topics, and hence here we are today. But the more you so that my advice is be specific to how you're actually feeling, name the emotion, the location, and then just practice. See what works for you. Can you understand the difference between global and specific? Even though I'm not confident, is quite general still. So even though I'm anxious making new friends, or I feel sick to my stomach going into new situations where I might have to talk to somebody that I don't know, that's much more specific to what's actually going on. So it is about tuning in and finding out what's going on. And that's the psychology part. That's all a psychologist will do, ask you questions. So do that of yourself. Why am I feeling this knot in my stomach? And if you don't know why, you can just still do tapping. Even though I feel sick to my stomach and I don't know why. I feel sick to my stomach and I've no idea why. You can still, or even though I still got this pain. So you can just use those kind of words. Keep tapping. So focus on the negative as long as you can and just keep tapping until you start to feel better, basically. And then notice how you release or shift. So do you yawn? Do you get tired? Do you get a heat rash? Do you belch like me? Often people forget what the problem was that they started with because they've actually reprogrammed their brain so much the brain can't remember what they started doing. If there's memories that come up, write them down. If they're really difficult memories, find an EFT practitioner or tapping practitioner to work through with them. But if there's something that you think you can manage, then have a go. So you could do, even though I have this memory of falling off a bike when I was 5, and I felt so sad and ashamed that I wasn't good enough. You know, you could do some tapping on that, okay? So you can kind of do some tapping on the theme of the memory that came up for you. Hopefully that makes sense. And again, remember that you don't have to do this all alone. There's lots of EFT practitioners out there who can help you. And it is quite easy. And my takeaway is this is the most empowering tool I've ever come across. And I have tried heaps of stuff, like so much stuff, so many different therapies, and like from woo-woo therapies to real therapies. And this is what works for me. So that's why I am passionate about sharing it with others. So if this works for you, please use it. Please tell other people about it. Tell them about me, tell them about tapping. Share your learnings if you fancy it. It will be amazing to see all of your feedback. So yes, you can go onto YouTube and do some free meditations. So just search tapping for mums, or it's /tapping for mums if you wanted to do that to start off with. And then my website's got more information if you need it. And one last thing, I've never remembered these, but each of the points does relate to a different part of the body. I often find my go-to is the collarbone, which is the kidney, relates to the kidney area, and also grief, anxiety, and insecurity. So again, some of these might resonate with you more and you find yourself doing it more. Like, for example, side of the eye is rage. Be interesting if you need to tap on that one more. But again, you're tapping on all the points, which covers all the body, which covers all the emotion. But if you wanted to know what they were, this is why it's in here. Any questions? Because we are done. Thank you for coming. Thank you for joining. I did have a huge amount of people sign up, and I'm sure lots of people wanted to do this in their own time and replay the video for them. So hopefully, for those people who are watching on replay, hopefully you've had a similar experience to us, and get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you everybody for coming. Oh, I'm so pleased that you could make it. And yeah, any feedback or reviews on Facebook or even my email or anything would be amazing. And I will send out this replay Thursday, because I don't have time to do it tomorrow and I won't get the link tonight. So look after yourselves, be kind to yourselves, drink lots of water, have a good sleep, and keep me posted on how you feel over the next few days and your cravings. And let's just agree and promise each other that if we do get a craving, we'll just go straight into this rather than running for the fridge, and we'll see how we get on. Thank you so much, everybody, and hopefully talk to you soon.